welcome to Fat or Future episode 19. I'm your host, Steve Williams, along with my special guest co-host, Lennon Kuhnhart.
Hello.
Welcome, Lennon. Glad you could join me today for this conversation.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on my very first Fat or Future. I can't believe I made it.
Oh, it was long overdue. Justin's on vacation, so he's going to miss out this week, or this episode. But I'm happy to have you, and we've got some good Windows 11 stuff. You know, it's coming out next week.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe it. The Windows 11 really ramped up on their deployment, honestly. It's one of the fastest OS releases I think I've seen.
Well, it's good that Microsoft's able to keep things on schedule. We weren't sure if we were going to see another OS. We thought Windows 10 might have been it with the feature packs, but nope, here we are with 11. And of course, we've got three good topics on it. And our first one is about the most, probably visible change, the user interface, right?
Oh, yeah, the good old user interface. I know in the office we've talked about a few different things, from the recycle bin popping out at you to obviously the big one, which is the start menu move.
Right, coming to the center, right?
Right in the middle.
and we touched on this in a previous episode, but you can definitely hear some good arguments in terms of it being a little more touch friendly, a little more accessible if you're on, using a stylus or something like that. Having that menu in the bottom corner is difficult when you're using your finger or a stylus. So bringing it up a little more present, you can make a good argument on why we need a user interface change. But our Fat or Future question is really about the innovation of user interface. Is it a case that this is too little innovation, really? Because let's be honest, doesn't Windows 11 look a little bit like Mac OS?
I was wondering if you were going to say that, but yeah, I would definitely say it does. We're getting there. It's looking very Mac OS-ish, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And this really boils down to the question. Microsoft's been burned changing the user interface. And so the Fat or Future question is, have we just given up on innovation and the user interface space? What do you think? Is innovation a thing?
Well, it definitely needs to be a thing. But if everyone wants to have the same type of interface and copy, one another in our field or in this field, then wow, I'm definitely going to say it's a fad. It's definitely looking more Mac-y every day. And I hate to say that, but it's true.
So you're kind of in the camp that you think that there is going to be, you're thinking this is a fad and we're going to get to a place of innovation.
Yeah, definitely. I think as the technology changes, maybe in the future, we'll be interacting with our desktops and laptops in a whole nother fashion. We may not have physical keyboards anymore that we use. We might have just touch keyboards. And looking at interfaces, that has to change with the integration to the technologies ultimately. So, technology, as you know, changes every single day. And with those changes come new ways, new innovative ways to interact with our desktop, or it might not even be a desktop. Who knows?
Well, and you're touching on some great points. So we have not had what I would say substantial user face innovation in, at least a couple decades, right? This
Right.
idea of what does innovation mean for the user interface? You have to bring the keyboard and mouse into the conversation, right?
Oh, yeah. Keyboard and mouse is the original interface input device. Can you imagine that changing? That's going to be a whole nother ball game for everyone.
And touchscreens have been around for a long time, but yet the operating system isn't, optimized for that. And voice interaction certainly has come a long way in the last decade. Yet, Cortana, Siri, these things they're not perfect. They don't provide that seamless response that you get when you can click a screen or hit the key. So we've had no innovation. So it's really easy, I think, if you use history as a benchmark to say, this is the future. There's no innovation. But I'm gonna agree with you. I think the lack of user face interface innovation is a fad. I agree with you. I'm gonna lock in on fad for this
All
because
right.
we do have to someday ditch the QWERTY keyboard. As much as corporate America might hate it, we have to send that thing out the window and have it never come back at some point.
Yeah, just go ahead and toss it like a boomerang, but just hope it doesn't come back.
Well, today it would definitely come back and probably hit you in the head, but that's only because your USB cable's not that long. All right, good, good. Let's move into topic number two. OS upgrades for free, bad or future? Now, how many times have you upgraded Windows since you've been in your career space here?
Oh boy, I think it's way too many to count. It feels
Yeah,
like
a
for
lot,
sure.
right? Yeah. I mean, you've probably been working with, you've probably gone through at least 4 or 5 upgrades, I would say.
Oh yeah, I can definitely remember seeing Windows. Oh man, I'm dating myself here, of course. Windows XP was actually one of the biggest upgrades I had to do myself. But of course, prior to that, I've used 98, I've used 95. Didn't really have to do any upgrades then, maybe because I was too young, didn't know what I was really doing. But after XP, definitely hopped into 7 and 8 and now 10. So it just keeps coming. And I do remember in the past where you had to pay for those upgrades, but now it's really integrated and they seem to be giving it out for free, which is great. And you can kind of see the industry changing, in my opinion, away from that because now it's going to be more of a service, is what it's looking like. So maybe that's why they're streamlining it because they're preparing us for what's to come. Not sure.
Well, this is our Windows 11 edition, and we are talking about Microsoft here, and I agree. Microsoft did used to charge for upgrades, and upgrade was not free. Windows 10 was really the first big time that I can remember a mass free upgrade, as they tried to move the world out of Windows 7. And if you look at the other operating systems on the market, Mac, Linux, um, you don't really pay for upgrades, right?
No, they were always free from what I can remember anyway. I don't ever remember having to upgrade my Linux box by paying, what's his name? I probably mispronounced his name, but yeah, you don't pay for that stuff. And in the Mac world either. Well, maybe in the Mac world there was one point, but they seem to have jumped on this OS for free upgrades way before Windows did.
Well, and there definitely might be an issue around security. So there's this, expectation the operating system protects you, and keeping you current is certainly a matter of security nowadays as well.
Oh yeah, especially with, how fast technology is developing and exploits are coming out, it's very important to stay on top of that. I mean, I know it's part of some processes that a lot of companies do is making sure that upgrades are being implemented. And it's a whole ball game in itself. It's got its own beast, if you will.
So if I guess if we expect that the manufacturer of the operating system is going to keep us up to date with the latest features and security, is it safe to say that fat or future it should be free? And thinking about Microsoft here.
I'm definitely going to say that that's the future. They're probably not going to roll back from this, right? And if they did, they'd probably get a lot of lash from the community, honestly. Um, and it's important to, like you mentioned, stay on top of the security, so they should remain free. And that's definitely a future on my side.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. I'm gonna say fad, and here's why.
Oh,
I had this in my pocket. I was saving this because to me, this is Microsoft's ultimate grand ploy to Windows 365. And in the Windows 365 space, you're gonna be paying that subscription price.
hmm.
I think the free is going to eventually be free if you're a subscriber. This is really getting everybody on the hook.
Mm.
And I bet if we looked hard enough out there, we'd find some people that argue that Windows 11 is Microsoft pulling you into their cloud one more time, a little bit closer. And I would probably agree with that. So I'm going to call this a fad because what's going to happen is you're going to get a conditional upgrade on Windows 12, and maybe not 112, maybe it's 13, but I'm going to bet it's 12. I think Microsoft's pretty close to making the operating system a cloud service. Again, device agnostic world. And now, if you want that latest version, you're going to need a subscription.
Wow, definitely curveball there. That's going to be a good one for a staff meeting one of these days.
On a Friday. All right. So our last topic today is, fad or future on Windows in your cell phone. Now, this isn't the first venture, but one of the big things Microsoft's really promoting with Windows 11 is this kind of simplistic integration of your Android phone, I believe, into Windows 11, right?
Yeah, so they're allowing you to use Android apps on Windows 11, which is awesome, especially for you Android users out there probably thinking, "Wow, there's a cross between Windows and Android now." But that can only lead to more connectivity. So imagine your phone now running on your desktop.
So you mean like I can play Among Us on my Windows 11 computer that's even though it's an Android app?
Don't say it too loud, and then everyone will be doing it. But yeah, basically.
I just need faster reaction times when I'm moving around the ship. I get hemmed up on the phone, I get stuck in the control room. I can't get out.
Yeah,
If I
the
could use
control
my
they'll
mouse,
get
I
you
think it'd be
there.
better.
Yeah, you'll be moving way faster through those levels for sure, and hopping in and sabotaging things quickly.
Exactly. Got to win. So is it just about texting from your computer? Is that really what it is? Or is it more to that?
That's a good question. I think it'll include that for sure. I think texting has been something that a lot of different providers have been trying to kind of implement into the desktop, but no one's really kind of pinpointed it yet. So maybe with this integration, we'll be able to see some sort of connectivity, kind of like how they have. Well, they stopped developing it as far as I know, but the Android Auto app that allowed you to connect your cell phone to your car. Maybe they'll come out with something here in the near future that will allow us to do the same thing with our phones on our PCs for that integration.
So what do you think Microsoft's motivation was to do this?
That's a good question.
Is it something Apple's doing? I mean, I don't know anything about this on Linux. So are they, again, our first two topics, Microsoft seems to be following the marketplace, if you will.
Yeah,
Is this an innovation that Microsoft thinks they're ahead of something?
well, I mean, we talked about them trying to look more like Mac, and maybe they are trying to bring Mac users into the Microsoft world. And maybe by implementing these Android apps, that's how they kind of grab that market and say, well, hey, come on and do this on, your desktop. So they're
Well,
kind of,
I did see somebody talk about kind of so on Apple, you have one app store, right? My iPhone and my Mac have the same app store. And I did see a story that kind of said this was Microsoft's play to, kind of open up their store because Microsoft Store really kind of stinks. It's not. I mean, have you ever bought anything on the Microsoft Store? Be honest.
bot? No.
Yeah, right. No. I mean, it's a quick answer. No, I've never. But have you bought something on the Android or Mac store?
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. For
So this idea, I think, is that if you could run Android apps and it could bring that store, they're bringing content to Windows 11. So that's kind of what the story I saw was positioning it. So saying that, this is Microsoft's way of opening up their app store, creating some depth, if you will, to encourage people to use Windows 11. I don't know, but it was a point of view.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, that's definitely how you get new people involved in your product. So
Right. Well, I mean, are you feeling so Windows in your cell phone, bad or future?
I'm gonna say future. I think it's definitely gonna be a thing. We're seeing also some of the Windows phones that have been coming out, so we'll see what happens with that with this move as well. But I'm gonna say future.
All right. All right. So I'm torn here. I mean, I could probably argue either way, but I think I'm going to just go for a 3 for 3. I'm going to call all these fad today,
Wow.
and I'm going to call it fad just because the cell phone is dying, and it's not so much that what point do we stop calling it a cell phone? Okay. You're going to need to come up with a single syllable word that fits though, because nobody's going to want to call it a multi-syllable word. Um, but cell, what can you replace that with? I'm not sure. But the reality is that phone calls are data now. And most people are using apps instead of phone calls to communicate with each other, using social
Yep.
media. And this space is just getting more crowded. The reality of knowing someone's phone number, it's not even you don't even know anyone's number anymore. You pick their name, but most of the time you're not even talking to them on that. You're talking to them through email or social media platform, whether it's your LinkedIn app or WhatsApp or one of the other many opportunities out there. So I think this idea of hooking in your cell phone to Windows is just a temporary buy until that leap to say that I don't even need my phone, I just need my apps. And this makes that pathway probably a little easier, I think.
Oh yeah, it's gonna go from hey, what's your number to I mean, you're seeing it now. Hey, what's your handle? Right?
Right, right.
Or
So you
something
have an
along those
email
lines.
or a handle, right? If you look at Discord or Steam or any of those platforms, you just give out your handle and people can connect with you. And now your presence in those different networks or environments can be controlled by the apps that you're in. So, okay, good. All right, so let's wrap it up. So we had lack of user interface innovation. We both felt that was a fad that at some point, yeah, we got to get there, right? We got to change the way we all want a Tony Stark, right? Where you just move your, slide things around.
Yeah, definitely just maybe even just stare at it and move it. How great would that be, huh?
Coming soon, coming soon. Then we split over OS upgrades from Microsoft being free. You felt that was the future. I called it a fad. And we split again on Windows and your cell phone, future and fad. So
We did.
good
There they
stuff.
are.
Yep. So what do you think? Are you excited about Windows 11?
I'm definitely excited. It definitely I played with it a little bit, and it looks like it's going to be not too much of a learning curve for us heavy users. They still have the control panel in there, so that's cool. You can also, I forgot to mention this earlier, move the start menu over to the left if you don't want it centered. So that's the
Oh,
good news. You can't move it to the right. That's not an option, but hey, maybe more on that in later
well,
episodes.
yeah, maybe we'll have to post a link in the bottom of this video and let everybody know how to change their center menu to the left, and then it'll become like our most popular video when it gets indexed.
Definitely, definitely.
Thanks for joining me today, Lennon.
Thanks for having me. It was great being here. Hope I can
So
join you guys in some other episodes.
I think so. I think maybe we'll have you and Justin, and we'll have a three-person panel. We'll have the special edition something.
Hey, that's definitely a future,
We
not a
are
fad.
planning for a year-end episode, so maybe that's it right there.
Awesome. That sounds great to me. Just let me know.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and watch out for episode 20 coming next month, our holiday shopping technology extravaganza. I'm sure Justin's been spending his time off making some notes, getting ready for that. Until next time.
See ya.